Hi, I'm Marty Rosendale, CEO of the Maryland Technology Council, and I'm here today with Mike Liccardo, who is the Vice President of Corporate Development and the Chief Financial Officer for Sharevault. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate you spending the time with me.
So Mike, why don't you just take a minute and tell us a bit about yourself and about Sharevault?
Sure. So I was raised here in Silicon Valley, have fairly extensive and diverse experience as an executive in a number of companies and different industries here, including software and networks and computers, and also obviously life science since I've been involved with Sharevault. And as part of my career, I was also an angel investor and also was with a consulting company that helped young companies in terms of their fundraising requirements and helped them in business development. And Sharevault, in the early days of Sharevault, was one of those opportunities that came into the angel group I was with. And they were just starting to generate revenue. And so we invest a little bit of angel money in them. And then they wanted me to do some consulting on a part-time basis. And I liked the company and eventually wound up joining full-time. So that's kind of the basic story there.
That's great. I mean, to go from investor to chief financial officer, that's a good story. It also demonstrates the value that you see in the commitment to the organization.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mike, this year at our conference, because it's virtual, we're attracting an audience from all around the world. We're going to have a large international delegation. We're going to have amazing Maryland companies there, companies from other parts of the country. What would you like those attendees to know about Sharevault?
Yeah, so most people that may know of Sharevault think of us as a file sharing system for due diligence type of transactions, for fundraising, M&A transactions, et cetera. But what a lot of companies may not know is that most of our customers use us on an ongoing basis, and they're able to use Sharevault and configure it for different applications without us requiring to do any custom software. So we see our life science companies use us throughout their entire stages of growth. They can use it in regulatory operations, clinical operations, sharing with service providers like CROs and CMOs, and it provides an information security platform that allows them to protect all their confidential information. And in the life science industry, as you know, you generate a lot of documents. It's a highly regulated industry, but a lot of those documents and data, et cetera, are highly confidential to the whole business. And so you want to make sure that you have it well controlled and protected, and we always suggest for early stage companies that they establish good corporate governance and discipline in the beginning. So that's kind of fundamental our message.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you're right. I mean, so much data. First of all, there is so much data in the life sciences, and then that data is very sensitive. It needs to be kept secure. It needs to be kept private. So what's unique about Sharevault with respect to those attributes?
Yeah, so we discovered part of my role at Sharevault when I was doing consulting is there were a lot of file sharing systems around at the time, and Sharevault was generating some revenue with broad corporate customers, and we wanted to find a niche where we had some really significant competitive differentiation. We wound up getting some life science companies, and they chose us over some of the big competitors because we had the ability to support some unique life science industry standard types of documents, and also the ability to support very large documents and complex organizational structures of the document sets. And that really was the trigger for us to start focusing on life science. So for example, you may have a regulatory submission that was approved by the FDA. It's based on a standard called ECTD. That is a set of documents that are organized in a very unique way. We're the only cloud-based file sharing system where you can actually drag and drop that entire structure into Sharevault and then be able to share that securely with outside parties. And the reason that can be important is that if you're working with a partner, say on a collaboration on a drug development process, and you have an IND and you're updating that, it's highly likely you want to be able to share parts of that information, parts of that set of documents with your partner on an ongoing basis. So how do you do that? And that was one of the reasons we determined would give us a competitive advantage. And we've added additional features since then as well.
Mm-hmm. That's great, Mike. I have to admit, I'm one of the people that is guilty of thinking of Sharevault only as a place for virtual due diligence rooms
Yeah.
until recently didn't understand all the other possibilities.
Yeah.
I am a user of Sharevault, and I know Sharevault is a tremendous supporter of the life sciences industry, of the bio capital and the Maryland life sciences industry. So, is there anything, Mike, that we haven't talked about that you would like to bring up?
Well, I think what we're seeing is that, particularly in the current environment, we're starting to see Sharevault being used for supporting remote work environments where if you need to collaborate with your colleagues and you have to work from home and you have content that's in your corporation in a file server or whatever, you could use Sharevault to do that. And the interesting application, new one we have, is if you're running a clinical trial, there's a requirement to do site visits. Those used to be physical, actually go to the site. Well, there's some limitations now with the current pandemic where there's safety concerns about visiting sites and also travel restrictions. So we're being used now by a couple of our customers to facilitate remote clinical trial monitoring. And the big benefit of that is it does not disrupt your clinical trial or delay it, which can be a significant, downside for your company. It's very expensive to run the trials. So that's another example of an application which you can configure Sharevault to support that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a good example.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, we're hearing so much, since the pandemic, and we've all gone virtual. We've had so many warnings about bad actors and hackers and the risk to our data. So to have a tool like Sharevault to be able to reliably, comfortably, and securely manage that data is tremendous.
Yeah.
So Mike, again, I want to thank you for all your support. You've been tremendous supporting the life sciences industry in Maryland and the bio capital. Again, I'm Marty Rosendale, CEO of the Maryland Technology Council, and I've been talking with Mike Liccardo from Sharevault. Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty. Bye now.